Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lukhaup and today I will take you to the Igarapé de Jamaraquá. This is a creek that drains into the lagoon of Jamarakua, so it's not too far away. I walked about 2 kilometers to this place and I was really blown away again. And Juliana and her husband showed us this place to Corey and me, and of course I loved the water. I immediately said I could spend couple of days here, and which I did. I think in the end I was like 2 or 3 days here, and it was just a mind-blowing experience. Not that many big fish here like before, but a lot of beautiful tetras. And if you go underwater, we can see the water is really clear. And I wonder how on what these tetra feed if the water is so clear. And even if I did move, there was not that many particles. After a minute or two, the particles have been swept away and the water was perfectly clear again. But before I talk about this new wonderful place, I want to correct some things. In the last video, I named a fish Geophagus. I think it was minute 15 that we see here on the right side. And it's in fact Acarichthys haeckelii. And Stefan388 wrote that in the comments and he explained why. So it's always good that I have viewers that are really into this and that help out, because even in the papers it's not always clear, because like with the angelfish there's a little chaos with a lot of fish species from Tapajos, from the Amazon. A lot of work needs to be done with all the fishes there, in fact. Because like with the angelfish, I found out meanwhile that there's a little chaos, in fact, and nobody's working in them, which is mind-blowing. The last video that is for the members only, I interviewed somebody who really knows, and he also said it's a lot of chaos and there's probably a lot of new species, and the ones that are called this and that are maybe not the ones, so it gives me headache, but I try to give you the most up-to-date information that I have. And in this next scene, I mentioned that it was Methynis, but it's not. Maltese Fish 2672 wrote that as well in the comments, that the fish that we see here in the scene is Pristobruchon striolatus. And he's perfectly right, because then I looked it up and I saw that the body of Pristobruchon striolatus is totally different from Methynis. So in that he is correct and I was wrong in that, so I want to correct here this as well. The dots are very similar, the body shape is different, but the coloration was more like what I thought is Methynis. And it's even worse in the Zichla genus. There's a lot of chaos. It's really worse. Stefan388 and Stefan2539 pointed out that the fish here shown could be Zichla penima, not temensis like I wrote. But then I did some research on that, and believe me, I think it's a total chaos. I don't know if there's enough time here to point all the things out that happen in this genus. So I just want to give you a quick overview. Traditionally only 5 peacock bass were recognized, but in the review 2006, 9 species were described and 1 was revalidated. So in general, the various species are very similar in proportions and most meristics, but different color pattern. So the speckled or 3-barred peacock bass, Zichla temensis in particular, has caused problems due to its extensive variation, but the speckled pattern has now been shown to be present in non-breeders and the 3-barred when breeding. So even if there is minor variations known from adults of other peacock bass species, none shows the extreme variation of the speckled 3-barred peacock bass. Then a genetic study published in 2012 has cast doubt on the validity of some species recognized in the review in 2006. So there's a lot of hybrids swimming around. This is what they write, both in natural and human altered environments. Several species do not show sufficient difference to imply reproductive isolation and or history of independent evolution. So maybe I have to make a separate video. I don't know if you guys are interested in these details, but I have to tell you these things because I would like that everything is more or less up to date, and then you can let me know in the comments if you want to see a video on to put some clarity on this genus. But let's go back to the Igarapé de Jamaraquá, Flona tapajos. This creek is really amazing. What I observed in this creek is that there's plenty of tetras, but there's not that many predators like in the other places. Probably here the water is cooler, there is tetras, but they're not that abundant. There's not too many. There's several places where you can find them, but they're not all over the place in big numbers like in the other places. And here the water is probably 5 degrees cooler than in Rio Tapajós, where we had, like I presented that in the last video, like 29 degrees Celsius, like 104 up to 104 in Fahrenheit. So the water was really warm, but here it's cooler. And the tetras, and I really wonder, the water is clear, so what do they feed on? If these tetras have to feed all day, what are they feeding on? So that's something that I still have not found out, but it seems like they survive in this place. So let me introduce you the species that I have found here. A species that I have not seen in the other places, or maybe I have overlooked it, was Heterocharax virgilatus. And these guys occur both in the Amazon and in the Orinoco River basins, and they grow up to a size from 4 to 4.5 centimeters. With them swimming Nanostomus unifasciatus, but I have seen just very few in this place, so maybe they like the warmer water, because here the temperature was like 3 to 4 degrees lower than in Jamarakua, where the temperature was like 29 degrees Celsius. I guess here it was like 24, maybe 25. The reason you find them here in these areas where there is a dense aquatic vegetation is because the females lay their eggs in between these plants. This fish species is very productive in general, but they need a densely planted aquarium with fine-leaved aquatic plants. This is what they need. A species that I knew as Hemigramus ocellifer is now Holopristis ocellifer. So a lot of changes here too. This species, we have it in the trade as well. It's in English it's called the head and tail light tetra, and they reach a maximum length of about 4.5, 4.9 centimeters. That's about 1.9 inch. The head and tail light tetra, I always have to laugh when I have to read this name. What a long name. Does it make sense? Well, this species is found in South America, where it has a wide distribution across the Amazon basin, in Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru, as well as in the river systems of Suriname, Guyana, and French Guiana. So the species is found in large clear water tributaries and occasionally in blackwater streams as well. And when I found it, first I thought this is Monkhausia, because they look so similar, but it's not. It's the head and tail light tetra. That's a funny name. And when I did some research about them, I mean, I saw them in the trade, but I never kept them, so I had to read some reports, some breeding reports and so on. I found out that they could reach an age of 8 years. And I found them here in the places, in the spots that had not such a strong current. They like usually the more slower flowing areas, or the more, even the standing water. So that is different to Heterocharax, for example. I have seen several apistogramma, but I could not tell what species it is, because there was mainly subadult males in my opinion, but also I'm not an apistogramma expert. I think these are juveniles or females. In the back there is a male, but not with a really good color, so I could tell, yes, that is this species or that species. Iguanodectes variatus, a species that has been recorded from the Guaporé, Madeira, Bronco, Trombetas and Urubu river systems within the Amazon River basin. And this is a genus that has like 10 species just, so it's a very small genus. The fish don't have a really spectacular color. They're like more transparent gray, and in the fin they have black with a little bit of red on the top. They can grow up to 10 centimeters. And with this fish, I'm not 100% sure what it is. Is it a juvenile Crenicichla or is it a Wallacea? Not sure. Maybe somebody that watches this video could tell me what this could be. Hemigramus strictus. We have seen them in other places, but not that colorful like in this place. But here they are just in smaller groups. I have not seen them in big groups here. Usually 1, 2, and here a bigger group with 3. And in the other places they also have not been that colorful. The red was not that bright. So you can find this fish in Venezuela, Guyana, and of course Brazil. And I've read that it is, I mean, I've seen it in the trade, but when it comes to size, I have read that it's up to 6 centimeters, 2.2 inch, but I doubt that. Usually they are 3 to 4 centimeters. And of course I get excited when I find some freshwater shrimp. Here we have one from the genus Macobrachium. I'm not 1000% sure if it's Natereri, but I believe so, so that's why I put the CF. So these guys, they can vary in color. We have found them the night before with spotlights. We went into the creek because we also wanted to look for plecos, but then we saw plenty of Macobrachium. So I knew that they are around, so I just need to lift some logs, wood or rocks. There's not that many rocks here, but then they will show up. And they are very shy. Usually they try to hide immediately. And they grow to about, I would say, 7 to 8 centimeters. There's not that many species in Brazil, and here we have a different color, same species. They can vary a little bit in color. But let's go back to the fish now. There is one species that is very fast swimming, and I've seen them in larger groups. Usually they are there where the water is flowing fast. You can find them in big groups, but occasionally they also go to the water where the water is a bit more standing or not that fast flowing. It's Hemigramus hyanuari. They call it the January Tetra. I don't understand that, because Hyanuari is not January. It's from Lake Hyanuari, that's near the Brazilian city of Manaus. But you can find this species in Peru and Brazil. This fish reaches about 4 centimeters, and I think I have seen them in other places, but here it was better to film them. I could get more close better than in the other places. And then there was one Pecoltia that I found, just one, and I was really lucky because they show up during the night, in the evenings, and they are really difficult to film. So where there's a lot of wood, they should be there, but they don't show up. And in the night it's also difficult. In the one spot that we looked with spotlights, we could not see any. I had to be very patient then before these guys showed up. This is Lugubria strigata. In the past they have been in the genus Crenetzichla, but then later placed in the genus Lugubria. When I saw them I also thought it's Crenetzichla because they look so similar. And these guys can get pretty big, up to 40 centimeters, and they can eat fish that are just a little bit smaller than themselves. So they are the biggest predator here for sure. I have not seen any others. So they are widespread in the southern tributaries of the Amazon, in Brazil, and of course also in Guyana. They are for sure interesting species, or the genus is interesting. There's just 16 species in this genus, but if you want to keep them in an aquarium, it has to be a really large one, 2 to 3 meters at least. I also would like to talk a little bit about the aquatic plants that we have found here. In my belief, this is Cabomba aquatica, that is native to South America. You can find it in Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, French Guyana, Peru, Suriname, and Venezuela. To ID a water plant is really difficult. I am not 1000% sure. Maybe I should have asked Juliana. Maybe she mentioned it, but I forgot. So it could be also Cabomba schwarzii. They are so close, and I think you have to do some microscopic work here to really determine the plant. But it's a Cabomba, that I am pretty sure. And if you want to go in detail, you have to look at the size of the flowers, at the stems, at all different kind of things. But if there is somebody in watching this video and he knows better, I am happy to accept that. I mean, I have the plant people close to me from Denele or from Tropica. They also should know about this, but I don't know if it's so important if it's Aquatica or Schwarzi. It's nearly the same thing. They like all kind of waters, fast flowing, standing waters, clear, not that clear. So in fact, it doesn't matter too much. About this plant, Cypherus, the genus from the genus Cypherus, I was really surprised because I know them from different places. But on the other side, I should not be too much surprised because the genus Cypherus, known as sedges, comprises around 600 to 1000 species worldwide. So they are mainly marsh and aquatic plants, such as the well-known umbrella sedge, Cypherus alternifolius, which has an exotic appearance with its umbrella-like leaves and is often kept as a houseplant. And of course there's the ancient papyrus, Cypherus papyrus, used for paper. A genus that I find interesting is Nymphaea. And what I didn't know is that when I did my research, I found out that there is 7 species of Nymphaea in Brazil alone. So then again, it was difficult to determine what species it is. I believe it is Nymphaea amazonum. It could be a lot of other species too, because we have 7 in total, but my research showed that it must be, or it could be, or it's very probably that it is amazonum. We have them from the genus Nymphaea is down from Venezuela, Colombia, partly Peru to Uruguay, and in the north, partly in the north of Argentina, and of course French Guiana, Suriname, and Guyana as well. So this plant, when it has red leaves, it shows us that there's a lot of sunlight. In the spots where is not that much sunlight, the leaves are usually green. When people ask me what is my favorite genus of water plants, I always mention Eleucharis, because I use them a lot in my aquariums. Usually I use Eleucharis pusilla, but here we have Eleucharis fluctuans, and it looks very different above the water than submerged underwater. Very different. And here you can see all the 5 plants combined. About this plant with the big green leaves there in the background, I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's a plant that just grew a little bit underwater. And this was my lunch that I really packed well, and it was gone because the ants attacked it, and I really packed it well, but there was like millions of ants attacking my sandwich, and I stayed hungry for the rest of the day. And then I walked a little bit because I love to walk. I walked to the next place. On the road I always did a little bit of video, flower, insects. I also find that interesting to observe the whole habitat. That's why I always say look at the whole habitat. And I had to rescue this snake from the street, or from the road. It's not a real street. I didn't know if it was poisonous, and usually you should not touch snakes that you don't know, but I felt that this one is not a poisonous one. So I put it away because we had motorbikes. Really, they don't care about what is on the road. Interesting having these birds that I could watch for a while, just looking at them and enjoying some birds as well. And when it comes to the next place, you will see in the next video, this is the apistogramma that I found in the next place. So thanks a lot for watching, and I see you in the next video. Subscribe if you want, you don't have to, I don't force you, but it would be nice.